Trump's gonna rock this show. Step into light where the real facts glow. Step into the
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Punch Show. We got a few things we're going to cover today. The first thing I want to talk about is one of the funniest, least self-aware things that I have ever heard in my life. And that is... there's a rumor going around. Sorry, let me just wipe off my camera there. There is a rumor going around that Pete Hegseth is considering a run for president. I'll just pause for a moment while you laugh. You need another moment? Because that's pretty darn funny. I mean... How does he even think that he is remotely a consideration for president? He's gonna run on his screwing up the whole Iran war. I mean, I totally failed on the Iran war. I can fail as president too. It's funny with Hegseth. I call him Keg's Breath on Twitter so much that and Blue Sky that if it, like, when I type out Hegseth, autocorrect just recognizes it. It doesn't even try to correct me anymore. I just call him, or when I type out Keg's Breath, I just call him Keg's Breath. That's all I do. And it recognizes it now. So hello, Harry, how you doing? First on, as always, we are debating whether AOC should run, and Pete plans to run. It's hysterical. It's hysterical. I mean, like, yeah, you got, like, I mean, just consider his qualifications. He went in, he fired everybody that's a female or a person of color because they're DEI hires. Then he ruined the war. He had this whole thing where he the signal chat, right, where he, the journalist gets invited to his little top secret signal chat, and then it's not top secret after all. He tried to prosecute senators and congressmen for reading the UCMJ out loud. I mean, he just totally screwed up the Iran war. He committed war crimes by bombing these civilians in the middle of the ocean. I mean, he's got a track record that just screams, I can be the next Republican president. I think, like, you cannot come up with a dumber candidate. But if I'm got a hunch, I know. I say if he runs, if anything, it will just detract a bunch of votes from the real Republican candidate. I would not be like, there will be some people that wear wife beater T-shirts because they beat their wives. Well, I guess wife beaters are A shirts, but that type of guy. His fellow wife beaters will happily vote for him. They want a president that beats the first lady. None of this Hillary Clinton stuff. None even this Melania stuff. Autocorrect does that for me too. Keg's Breath. I mean, that's what he is. He's just Keg's Breath. For people who like stupid presidents but don't think Trump drinks enough. That would be a hell of a campaign slogan, right? If you like Trump but just wish he drank more, we give you Keg's breath. Anyway, so he's out in Iowa, and there's some speculation that he's got a candidate, or he's considering running for president. Did you know Iowa's an acronym for idiots out walking around? Well, there's one more idiot out walking around in Iowa right now. His voters will be the same people that did push-ups outside the jail where Andrew Tate is. Which, by the way, isn't Andrew Tate a Muslim? I think Andrew Tate's a Muslim. How come when they're talking about all the Muslim phobia stuff, they never talk about Dr. Oz or Andrew Tate? They're heroes. The best question to ask Keg's breath would be, have you stopped beating your wife? Because there is no good answer. That's like that I've actually done that before. You know, it's like with him and Matt Miller. You know, it's like the famous loaded question is, have you stopped beating your wife yet? And you know, it's considered the famous loaded question because if you say yes, you have stopped beating your wife, then you're admitting that you used to beat your wife. And if you say no, I haven't stopped beating my wife, then you're admitting that you still beat your wife. And so it's like this is the, you know, it's called a loaded question. It's a fallacy. And you know, Republicans are very, very good at them. Like when they say what is a woman? If then that's doubled with an equivocation fallacy where there's more than one definition of a woman. The primary definition is a societal one. It can be used as a you know, just what sex organs were you born with, that can also be what is a woman. And if you don't answer that one, and then you're stupid. But if you answer according to the actual definition, then you know, then you're stupid. But if you answer their way, then you're also rejecting the existence of trans people. So anyway, asking Keg's breath, have you stopped beating your wife yet? Does your mother-in-law agree? Trump and his minions' brilliance is their raw stupidity. Say and do whatever because nobody does poop about it. Every day it's gonna some new violation, tiring, waiting for action. And what will it be? Like there's even, I think, two of the people who died in the Iran war, two of the service members who died in the Iran war are actually from Iowa. He probably won't even go and say hi to their families, and like he's just a jerk with a capital D-I. Trump and his minions. Okay, so hey Mark, how you doing? We're just kind of laughing at the idea of Pete Hegseth considering running for president. What do you think of that? Would you vote for Hegseth as president? What do you think about the latest news report? Is $37,000 bounty has been offered for any U.S. service person, dead or alive, captured. I believe the Iranians instituted this. Well, I mean, I don't know what I'm supposed to think of that. I don't like Iran. I don't think Iran is a good government. I also think we attacked them. We bombed their soldiers. We bombed their civilians. There's 200 dead little girls there as a result of us. So one man's soldier is another man's terrorist. We put bounties on terrorists, right? So maybe we shouldn't go around bombing other countries if we don't want other countries to retaliate. That reminds me, I wish, and I say that as a veteran too. I'm not trying to be callous towards military members, but that's one reason the president of the United States should be careful before he starts going around ordering us to start wars, because he puts the lives of the military in jeopardy when he does that. That reminds me, I wish that reporter that Trump yelled at yesterday when he asked who she was, I would have said, "An American, who are you?" I would have said, "Your mama, that's who I am." Or just not a draft dodger. Yeah, there you go. That too. It's only a matter of time before one of these reporters says something like that. I want to see one of these reporters like clap back at him. I think that would be great. Is America running out of oil? Well, we're running out of oil reserves. What is it down to? I think. Uh, let me. I think what was it? Yeah, the SPR is getting genuinely low. Latest official number is 298.7 million barrels as of August 7th. That's down from 415 million in March. For perspective, the SPR has a designated storage capacity of 714 million barrels. So we're down to about 42% of capacity. And 298.7 million barrels in the tanks doesn't mean that's all readily available. Only a quarter of the remaining inventory isn't presently accessible, meaning there's 200 million barrels readily available. At the estimated current global shortfall of 5 million barrels a day, we can only cover about 40 more days. And so the oil price, by the way, I've noticed it's been ticking back up. It's up to 91.05 now. Brent crude. So continue to go up. And I don't like the so-called agreement. Oh, sorry. The so-called agreement, the MOU that ran out, and it doesn't sound like anybody is doing any talking. We're just forget it. We will not have anything close to an agreement. We may not even have any real talks before the election. And you can just watch the prices continue to go up and up and up and up. We're going to be paying $5 an hour when we go vote, or $5 a gallon. I'm sorry, we might be getting paid $5 an hour. Trump's press conference was a disgrace. His staff response on X was worse. And that is just, forget about everything else. Just insulting a woman like that and her family and saying that her kids are going to hate her. It's just, Hillary Clinton was wrong when she said that, they were deplorables, because she only included half of them. At this point, anybody that still supports Trump is deplorable. How do you support that kind of just hatred and animosity and cruelty and crudeness and bullying? He's just a dick. Or if a woman does it at $60,000 because they wanted to say they have a reserve pay gap as propaganda, yeah. Yes, we do, and war is hell. You are correct. I mean, I hate to say it. I just don't think we should be over there. I don't think that the military that's over there should be in the position of having bounties put on them. I don't know what I said that was funny, but apparently it was funny. I forget because anyway. Democrats are suburban plague. What does that mean? Democrats are suburban plague. That's like, what does that even mean? redneck jihad. What kind of are you a troll? Are you anyway? I think some military action in every invasion is sometimes like in Sudan currently, but the way Donald Trump uses military action is stupid. The way Donald Trump does everything is stupid. It's just everything is stupid. They could, like there's the whole thing, the whole metaphor where it's like, you're playing chess with a pigeon and the pigeon just, knocks over all the pieces and shits on the board. Well, Donald Trump does that, and then we sit there and we try to psychoanalyze what the shitting meant, and try to, like treat the bowel movement like tea leaves or something, trying to read something into it and go, ooh, what does that mean? What does this mean? It means he's an idiot. That's what it means. There have been a few reporters who have publicly argued with Donald Trump, and of course, then their networks pull them because they hurt their networks. The reported, yeah, and ABC is now actually suing Donald Trump, turning it around on him, and I'm glad somebody is. They're suing him for going for freedom of speech violations, with all this stuff about the the FCC. Is it the FCC? Yeah, that's anyway. They're saying that like they threatened to pull the broadcast license if they didn't fire Kimmel and all that stuff. Well, now ABC is suing them for freedom of speech violations. And the whole thing came out. I don't know if you saw this. Now there's also reports about the way that they were investigating these anti-Semitic schools and stuff. Apparently, they had made up their mind before they even started investigating. And so now, like maybe some of these universities that had settled are going to go, hey, it was just all it was an extortion thing from the start. We are at the tipping point. The cost to rent large oil tankers has skyrocketed to over $510,000 a day, making it much more expensive to move oil around the world. And nobody wants to insure those ships that are going through the Straits of Hormuz, the few that are. And I think that they hit one yesterday, and one of the crew members died. I'm not ashamed to say this, but this issue with oil is so old, and it really is an international maneuver to fluctuate the economics and the profits of certain people and countries. And just think, if we had renewable energy, if there was renewable energy, who has a monopoly on sunlight? Nobody. Every country in the world gets sunlight. Every country in the world gets wind. So if we could, and every country in the world has what do they call that? The geothermal energy. If we can, keep developing the science to where everybody can have renewable energy, we can have all the energy we want, and we don't have to worry about fighting over it. All of that stuff would be a thing of the past. Why can't we be the forerunners of that? Just think how much better the world would be if we had unlimited clean energy, universally accessible. Trump is my daddy. No, he's not. I know this because I don't crap my pants. The probability of Trump using nukes is increasing exponentially by the day. MTG says that's going on in the meetings, according to her own sources. I wonder if he will. That would not surprise me, sadly, if he just decided to nuke Iran. He's been obsessed with nukes since he He wanted to talk about nukes the day that he got into office on his first term. He'd love to nuke Iran. And he'd walk around like a tough guy. But you know what? If we voted for Kamala, she would have started World War III. I know this from my previous business interest in life jewelry and post-Vietnam era. The so-called oil embargo. Yeah, people in the mega circle have to hate on someone or dumb down people because they have no policy, just hate speech. And yeah, and no and derogatory labels. That's really all that it is. How come they're not running on the big beautiful bill? The one big beautiful bill. How come they're not running on how they saved all of this money from slashing the Affordable Care Act benefits? Why aren't they running on what they have actually done? Because what they seem to be doing is running from what they have actually done, and they've just gone full on boogeyman insanity. Like, everybody. You know how many DSA candidates there are that aren't already like elected? Like AOC considers herself DSA. You know how many new DSA candidates have been nominated? The way that the Republicans and the media make it sound, you'd think like there's like all kind, like every race is getting run by these extremists. 6. There's only 6. Why are we paying so much attention to 6 candidates? And the DSA isn't even what they say it is. But the Republicans make it sound like they want us to go into full-on lockdown communism. But God forbid we call them fascists just because they're fascist. All right. I think you like Trump. That's a lie. You don't think. Trump has always been that way. No one has the balls to cuss him out except me. If he came to my door, I would definitely let him have it. I mean, I might have the CIA, the Secret Service trying to take me to the ground for verbally assaulting him, but I'm not a violent person. But I would make him cry with my words. And I would like to, like, I'd call him things like the most scatological president we've ever had, because he wouldn't know what it means and he would think it was a compliment. Trolls and shared hate speech comments shared online. I see the same comments cut and pasted on different streams. And then it's a new batch the next week. It's like I wonder, is there like some sort of repository they go to? Attention, everyone. Kelly supports Donald Trump to make sure you show our orange lord some love. Yes. Thank you for that, Harry. Wouldn't want to have people confused. 66 viewers and 9 likes. I'd say there's a lot of shadow banned that think people are seeing what they typed. So, hey, yeah, whether you go ahead, give me a like, give me some more likes. Let's pump up that algo. America stands strong. Thank you, President Trump. Why do you think America is standing strong, Scott? Tell me what you think is doing so well. Hate crimes in Sumter, California. Sheriff Dennis hating on white people. I don't know what that has. I don't know what that is. In South Carolina. Sumter, South Carolina. Sheriff Dennis. Trying to figure out what this is about. You're thinking of Anthony Dennis, the longtime sheriff of Sumter. South Carolina. He's okay, so I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. I looked it up. I don't see anything about him hating on white people. I don't even see any accusations of him hating on white people. Speaking of stupid, but Sumter's first black sheriff. That's all I get. Speaking of stupid, Trump administration has asked federal appeals court to reinstate criminal charges against Kilmar Garcia, the Maryland guy who they wrongly deported. He just won't let things go. I mean, he has that was clearly all just malicious prosecution, and him asking them to reopen them, asking a federal appeals court to reinstate the criminal charges, that just reaffirms, like, the president of the United States is saying, I want this little peon prosecuted because he embarrassed me by getting deported and like not even doing any crimes, but just because I wanted to put him away in a foreign prison to die doesn't mean that he should get away with it. Yeah, that doesn't sound like vindictive at all. Only reaffirms that what a crappy human being Donald Trump is. And what a terrible prosecution. They destroyed that man's life. They destroyed his life. The kid came over, he was 16 years old. He was 16 when he came over here. Like, he's supposed to know US asylum laws at 16. His brother's already over here. His brother's already applied for asylum and and is waiting. So, he's 10 years ago or whatever. Comes over, he's 16. And he doesn't apply for asylum soon enough. And the judge says, sorry, I can't give you asylum, but I can allow you to stay here and give you a worker's visa. And I can just like put say you can't be deported back to your home country. He never did anything wrong. He got pulled over for speeding in Tennessee. They called the FBI because they were, there was some kind of suspicious, because there were just a lot of Hispanics in a van. FBI says, don't worry about it. It doesn't sound like there's anything there. That's all. And then what happened is they tried to deport him. They didn't even know about that, him being pulled over at the time. The Department of Justice didn't even know about it. ICE didn't know about it. Nobody knew about that. By the way, getting pulled over and not detained is not a crime. So then retroactively, they tried to reopen the investigation into him. And they got this guy that's an actual human trafficker. They're like, well, if you testify against him, we'll give you time off your sentence. He's like, okay, I'll do that. Doesn't mean that, Garcia did it. It means the guy wanted time off his time. So he'll like, sure. What now? Tell me what do I need to say and how do I need to say it? Do you have a script? I'll say whatever you want if it's going to give me out of here sooner. So then it turned out that the orders to reopen this and to go after this guy just because he had gotten so much media attention, guess who that came from? Guess who those orders came from? Todd Blanche. Todd Blanche. And that's the judge said that he was going to have to testify in court about why. And this would have been the highest person in the Department of Justice that would ever have to be ordered to testify in a trial like this. And so then they dropped the charges. or the court, and the court told them, if you don't do this, then we're gonna, drop the chart. We're gonna, shut down the whole thing. And so Blanche wouldn't do it, so they shut down the whole case. Now Donald Trump is sitting there saying, "No, I want this guy prosecuted." Sorry, Donald. You don't get to just send people to jail because they made you look bad. You made yourself look bad, actually. Yeah, I don't. We're not going to go into this. I don't know. I think maybe you're just a racist who says stupid shit about black people. I know these things that I speak of because of my involvement in business during the Vietnam and past Vietnam era. The manufactured so-called oil embargo, this occurred during the 1970s, was manufactured. That's interesting. I mean, I remember the long lines. Speaking of universities, apparently Penn State is doing more than just handing out degrees. Major drug bust with fraternities dealing cocaine. Wow. But Kelly, windmills are ugly and cost $1,000 per spin. Yeah, there's so much wrong information about that. Wind turbines, mills, and grain. Are you a racist? No, I am not a racist. Hello, Brent. Turns out fish actually like turbines. They're treating them as artificial reefs. Oh, but what about the whales? The flying whales that keep getting caught in the blades or something. I know this might be very difficult for some people to accept or understand. The war is very profitable. Has Donald Trump as a puppet, and he does what people have to finance him. Who do you think is financing him, Mark? Who do you think is pulling his strings? Peter Thiel? Long time no see. What about energy from the waves in the ocean? Yes, that's another one. There's all kinds of ways that we can, like, the earth is powerful and it generates power. And all we have to do is capture that power. And if we capture that power from the sun, from the wind, from the waves, from the ocean, from rivers, right? Like, there's all kinds of ways to capture power. And the more renewable energy we have, the less fossil fuels we need, and then the less wars we have to fight over that. Walter White, I think you're racist. I hate it when people like take these like known personalities and then make them their their name or whatever. It's like Bryan Cranston should sue the shit out of you, Walter. I have made an extra transition from my time with my family back in the days I mentioned, and now I'm 100% supportive of solar and nuclear. The hell with oil. Hello, sir. How are you? Listen a lot of the time because I don't have anything to comment. That's a long time listener, first time commenter. How much does China and Russia back Iran, or are they just trade partners? Well, there's pretty good relationship between the three of them. Well, at least Iran has a good relationship with both of them, especially with Russia. Where they're actually telling Russia how to kill the Ukrainian, how to fight the Ukrainian, whatchamacallem, the droids or whatever. They supply arms. The so-called 60-day ceasefire window between the U.S. and Iran is closed with. I mean, that MOU thing was always such a joke. They never even agreed on what they agreed on. Like they literally didn't even agree on what the MOU said they agreed on. Like they talked about different understandings of what the words in the MOU meant. It was a memorandum of misunderstanding. It should have been called a MOM. Memorandum of misunderstanding. China buys oil from Iran. Iran supplies drones. Drones, that's the word I was looking for. So they might be upset if nuked. I think a lot of people are going to be upset if we nuke Iran because it's not just going to affect Iran. Like, like wind blows and stuff like that. Here, let me ask. This is a good question. Okay. I'm asking chat, how many countries would be impacted if we nuked Iran? Because I don't think it would just be Iran. I think a lot of the surrounding countries would have like an impact. Through even a limited nuclear attack on Iran could affect countries well beyond Iran itself. Could easily be in double digits, but there is no defensible single number without specifying the attack. Iran directly borders 7 countries: Iraq, Turkey, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. It also sits immediately across the Persian Gulf from Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Qatar. Which country hates to wait in line? Qatar, the UAE, and Oman. So Iran plus those 13 nearby countries equals 14 countries that are in the immediate geographic neighborhood. Because it's not like the wind knows, national boundaries. A nuclear ground burst or attack on hardened buried facilities is particularly concerning because it can loft large amounts of contaminated material. The CDC notes that nuclear fallout can be carried long distances by women, can contaminate food and water from the explosion. Depending on winds, radioactive material could theoretically potentially reach further into places such as Syria, Jordan, Israel, Georgia, Russia, Kazakhstan, India, and beyond. Trace contamination can travel much further than the zone where those doses are dangerous. So it's not too much to say that when you start looking at, that kind of impact, then there's going to be a secondary impact that goes worldwide. You can't just go around dropping nukes. But Donald Trump seems to be obsessed with dropping nukes. He wanted to nuke a hurricane because he's stupid and he's a child. He's a child. I remember when I was a kid playing Risk, and the whole idea was to conquer the whole world. And so you're a little kid and you're like, if we added Canada, and this was at the time USSR was the largest country in the world. Canada was the second largest country in the world. And so I'd sit there and I'd try to figure out how many countries we'd have to add to America so that we'd be the biggest land. We were the 4th, I think. I want to say China was 3rd. Is it China or India? Maybe it's India. I forget which one. Anyway, we were 4th. Brazil's 5th. I forget. I forget the order. But now Canada, I think, is the largest. Or is it Russia? Anyway, doesn't matter. When I was a kid, I would sit there and I'd think about all that. And it looks like Donald Trump just wants to add territory and make America bigger. Because he's a colonialist. Maybe that's what, making America great again is all about. He's a child. He's a toddler. He's a toddler. He's a toddler. He insults people like a toddler. He poops his pants like a toddler. He throws temper tantrums like a toddler. He demands to have his own way like a toddler. He throws tantrums if he doesn't get it like a toddler. We don't have an adult as the president of the United States. We have a toddler as president of the United States. Pete Kegsbreath is a DUI hire. Yeah, he is. I still can't get over that. He's talking about running for president. I just cannot think of a more self-aware thing or a more unself-aware thing than Pete Kegsbreath thinking that he should run for president. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. There is that is, and they're sitting there and they're like, oh, what about AOC? AOC would be a damn good candidate. I'm sorry. I know some people don't like to hear that, but she's electric. She gets people excited. And and she makes sense if you actually listen to her talk. She's actually a very intelligent, well-informed woman. She graduated near the top of her class from a very, very good university. Like, listen to her talk. She's not saying crazy stuff. She's not saying stupid stuff. We talk about the way people talk about her. We don't talk about what she says. That's the mistake we made with Kamala Harris. We didn't talk about her policy. We talked about her. Let's talk about what AOC actually says she wants to do and evaluate that instead of evaluating her. Bobby is upset. He's got a grumpy face. I don't know if he was upset with me or with somebody else. Some DSA ideas are wacky, though. I mean, the idea of replacing the president and Supreme Court with an executive judicial branch chosen by Congress. Now, that's nuts. See, I'm not talking about like fringe ideas and stuff like that. Nobody's running on that. Like, I don't know who's running on that. And this is what happens is we get caught up on they want to get rid of the electoral college. The electoral college isn't going anywhere. And it's like the electoral college sucks anyway. The electoral college is there. It is a antiquated system that was put in the Constitution for the sole purpose of protecting slavery. It's an anti-democratic, nonsensical thing, but it's not going anywhere. You would either need 2/3 of the Senate or 2/3 of the state legislatures to agree to it to get rid of it. And that's just not happening. So why spend all of this time talking about that? Like the DSA is, and there's 6 candidates. We're talking 6 out of like 435. And some of the people they call DSA aren't even DSA. El Sayed is not even a socialist. He calls himself a capitalist. I don't think there are any MAGA people. They just pretend to be troll people. Mr. Scaletta, I do so much enjoy your intelligence and your intellect, but the topic of Donald Trump and the same old story of oil and boggles worse since. Whoa, no. I'm not saying that the oil thing is like a new thing. I 100% agree with you. If you think there are no MAGA people, you'll be a damn fool. MAGA isn't real; it's a psyop. You've got to understand Colonel Olds here. All right, you're new here. Colonel Olds is one of the more interesting people that comments on this stream. Colonel Olds is, AKA Skippy, is a old school libertarian. And abolishing the police and prison system, I mean, really reform. Yeah, but nobody's talking about those things. Like, they're really not. And even when they're talking about doing it, they're not talking about doing it in the way that people are talking about them talking about doing it. Yes, we're talking, like, they talk about, we need to reevaluate how we do prison and how we do the policing. Like, right now, we have police respond to all kinds of things that they shouldn't be responding to. Like, they're not mental health experts. They're not trained in it. Even the police will tell you they shouldn't be responding to that kind of stuff. Right now, we have by far the largest prison system in the world. Maybe just locking everybody up isn't always the answer. I mean, like, re-examining how we do our prison system and re-examining how we do to our police system. And maybe they are too far, but at least let's have the conversation. At least they're ready to have a conversation about it. And again, it's only 6 of them. It's only 6. We're talking like 1% of the Democratic candidates are DSA. And we're spending 95% of our time talking about what they want to do. What about the other 99%? That reminds me, Trump rewards North Korea for helping the Iranian side, but punished South Korea for not participating in the war. How is this not treated? How can 33% not see this? That, because, Kim was nice to him, and Obama couldn't get along with Kim, but him and Kim, they have a very, very loving relationship. They like to cuddle. They like long walks on the beach. They like pina coladas, getting caught in the rain. They're not much into health food, but they are into champagne. They like making love at midnight. Praise Jesus and Donald Trump. Well, at least you still recognize that they're two different people. There's some people that apparently no longer make that distinction. If all of us just step back for a minute and look, history repeating itself and repeating itself, this is the truth. This is not personal. This is business. Same as it was with Japan and oil supply. It's interesting to see the Democrat Party go through a similar transition as the Republican did in 2016. New leadership seizing power from the establishment. And this is I've been saying this, by the way, for the last 10 years. If you want the Democratic Party to change it in the primary. And so you had some people win with some more left of center ideology. And there's a kind of an over focus on the most extreme statements from people on the left, and they're trying to saddle the entire Democratic Party. It's like saying that Nick Fuentes represents the entire Republican Party. Self-proclaimed Nazi or something, It's like you're talking about a couple of extremists on the left that aren't even that extreme, like, oh, maybe we need to reevaluate the prison system. Like, right now, we have an extremist political system. We have more people in prison than any other country in the world. How many? Okay. The United States has the largest incarcerated population in the world. We have 1.83 million people. China has 1.69 million people. China has just a few more people than we do. Just a few more people. And they have a lot of people that are unfairly locked up. Maybe we need to reevaluate our prison system. Maybe we are the extremists already, and reevaluating how many people we put in prison. Maybe that's not as extreme as it sounds. Maybe that's like unextreming things. Like maybe the rationing healthcare based on your income and your employment status. Maybe that's the extreme. We're the only country in the world that does that. Maybe we overfund our police department and ask police to do too much. Go to almost any town, any city in the country, and like half the city budget goes to the police department. Maybe we are extreme. And we are so extreme that saying anything that isn't extreme sounds extreme because it's so far from what we do that it sounds extreme. Maybe we need to unextreme the country a little bit. Trump is more deranged now. He is vindictive, grifted billions as president, and calls all his media reporters that he hates fake news. That tirade against the poor woman from CNN, Kate McDonald, was it? Anyway, it was just terrible. McDonald, I mean, I cheer for that ketchup. Something's mortifying, but I'm like behind, so I no longer know what was mortifying. I think the current Democratic leadership are absolute garbage. I mean, just awful. I don't disagree. Not, in my opinion, will the Epstein files ever come out? Not while Donald Trump is president. Nobody wants Jeffries and Schumer. Nobody even knows why they're there. Yeah, I don't see a groundswell of support for Jeffries or like. I really don't. I don't see anybody going, "Oh, Chuck Schumer, man, you just don't understand him." I don't know who I would who I would promote as Senate Majority Leader if he were gone, but it'd have to be somebody that has some experience. You don't want somebody that's just young or brand new, but maybe somebody like White House. I like White House. White House usually seems to be talking sense, and he doesn't seem to be like party lying all the time. President Donald Trump, winner of the last. This is a fact-based discussion. The files are out, parts redacted. Well, some of the files are out with parts redacted. Remember, half the files haven't been released yet. And, like some people are like, well, they've already been released and there's nothing in there. Okay, but how do we know that the stuff that hasn't been released, there's nothing in there? And this is one of the whole thing with that Kitty was talking about with Katie Fang is suing over. One of the things in there is like people got raped. Or there was a torture video, an actual torture video. There's a handwritten note in there that was never released, accusing Trump and Epstein of raping her together. And the FBI looked at that and they investigated it. Why wasn't that in there? So we know for a fact that there is stuff in there that wasn't released that's newsworthy. So why weren't those things released? Like, I'm not ready to just, and so right now, Katie hasn't seen them, but the judge has. And she's trying to get those released. This is like, let's not be naive. You don't run that kind of operation and not have, like, you don't sell women, or I should say, you don't sell children as sex slaves and not have buyers. How come none of the buyers have been prosecuted? Epstein made billions of dollars, but we don't know who gave him that billions? They redacted the perpetrators and exposed the victims and published. They even exposed nude photos of the victims. There is nowhere to go with that whole thing. Not a Democrat, and definitely complaining about prices. Whatever came of that artificial sun that China powered up a few years ago? I have no idea what that is. The truth in answering your question, the names of the people who are financing him will never be revealed. They use other actors, so to speak, to do the building. I say this without prejudice. Well, you know that world better than I do. Iowa, a red state, still has the second most windmills. Well, turbines. They're not windmills, they're turbines in the country next to Texas. And I don't think a lot of people know Texas has most. Did you know that Texas leads the country in renewable energy? But yeah, you're right. Iowa's second. And Iowa's first per capita. We went 3 solar years ago. We went solar 3 years ago, and I totally love it. Yeah, you don't see a lot of people like complaining about, oh, gee, I love these lower prices and stuff. Same thing with my electric car. You know how many times I've regretted having an electric car since with gas prices at $4 a gallon? None. We just laid a flat electricity line underneath the Elbe River to bring wind energy from the North Sea to Bavaria, where they hate wind turbines. Interesting. The specific names of the people who financed Donald Trump will never be revealed. They use others. Okay, yeah. Did I read that already? Iran is saying that they may cut the high-speed cables in the Strait of Hormuz. Much of the world will lose internet in that sector. Wow. Going solar saves you like 50% of your bill. And in the UK, there is a massive government program that funds them. Why wouldn't you put them in? Well, we were heading in that direction until a certain fat orange turd became president. Trump administration is not going to end the war. They would lose too much money. Trump uses tacticals. Trump wants to use tactical nuclear weapons. It's not like, sorry, got some reflex going on. Pakistan and India would be directly in the path of the radiation and could cloud within 48 to 72 hours, contaminating the air, crops, and water. And then, so then if it's doing that, then it's going to cause like all kinds of food shortages, which we've already going to have because of the elevated fertilizer prices. I mean, and anybody that actually has enough sense to like point these things out is either going to be too big of a coward or has been fired or will get fired for saying it. Because Donald Trump just wants to hear people say yes. He doesn't want it. He doesn't want advice. He wants agreement. Countries across the Persian Gulf, including Kuwait, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Bahrain, all those would face severe radiation risk depending on wind shifts. If you nuked Iran, then you have other countries thinking of using bombs as well. It could be World War III. But Kamala Harris, I was told that Kamala Harris was going to start World War III. Afghanistan, Turkey, yeah. So Germany had an impact by the Chernobyl reactor accident. Wow, still not recommended to eat mushrooms from certain areas. Yeah, it's not like the radiation goes away after a couple of days either. Every single country that buys oil or gas would experience immediate massive price spikes. Yes, causing global fuel rationing. Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, what would that do to the price of energy? I mean, the Strait of Hormuz might be open, but nothing would be going through there because there'd be nothing to go through. Global supply chains for food and fertilizers would collapse, leading to acute food shortages and potential hunger crisis in vulnerable nations as far away as Sudan and Somalia. And that's not going to help with, all the migration. You get, hundreds of millions of people starving to death. What are they going to do? Stay there and starve to death, or try to find somewhere where they can get food? The massive oil. Harry's got this locked down. The massive explosions and burning oil fields could create toxic black rain. The physical effect on other countries from a nuclear attack on Iran is not as important as the financial devastation that is in the world today. If multiple nuclear weapons were used, the massive amount of smoke and soot rising into the upper atmosphere would block out sunlight. This would lower global temperatures, shorten farming seasons, and cause crop failures across North America, Europe, and Asia, threatening the global food supply. I hope somebody's explaining all of this to Trump. Because if he, if you weren't here when it came up, according to MTG, there are sources that are telling her that Donald Trump wants to nuke Iran. Okay. So Winch's third? Is it China or India? I forget Winch's third. I know we're fourth, and I think Brazil is fifth. He's running out of ideas and tools. He's even talking about attacking our allies. Yeah, he's talking about going after Oman for some reason, because they're trying to negotiate peace, and he's like, stay out of the way or I'll bomb the shit out of you. how he does not want to help take care of our citizens. It's not about Trump. It's about good versus evil. And if you can't see that, okay, who is the good and who is the evil here? And I mean, if you think this is about good versus evil, then there's no help for you. Because if you want to talk about the Bible, there's a verse that says, so let us do evil that good may come. And, this is Paul in Romans saying that rhetorically. And then his next, absolutely not. Because evil remains evil. So, no, we don't get to just say that Iran is evil, therefore whatever we do is justified. It's not about good versus evil. It's about evil versus evil. And one kind of evil doesn't negate the other kind of evil. It would be nice to have Iceland as a state. My dad used to be the ambassador to Iceland. He is a toddler. Somebody recently said Natalie Hart is his binky. Oh, man. Ossoff skewered him with that Natalie comment. Why Iceland is fish that important to you? More icebergs for iceberg vodka, I guess. Hey, they have the natural springs there. Some of us want America back again. Sometimes prison is the answer. In Atlanta, for example, 1,000 reported offenders are responsible. Okay, but sometimes prison is the answer, and sometimes prison is not the answer. The question here is not whether you put anybody in prison, it's whether everybody in prison actually should be in prison. Sometimes prison is not the answer. Sometimes prison is counterproductive. You have people that are put in nonviolent crimes, put in prison for nonviolent crimes, and they come out as violent people. And if you're talking about the same 1,000 people that are repeat offenders, maybe we're not doing something right with the prison. Maybe we're not reforming prisoners. Maybe we need to reevaluate what we're doing. Maybe your statistic proves that prisons don't work. I mean, in 1928, Hitler was 3% of the vote. By 1934, he was an autocrat. So, I mean, every fringe stupid ideas needed to be pointed out and defeated. So much of what Hitler does, or Trump does, has like, like similarities with Hitler. They both won. They both got into power as a minority, and they both took over parties that had previously existed and redefined what they meant. If people are repeating offenses, what have you accomplished? Right. If people keep offending, then maybe something about prison isn't working right. Why are they let out enough to commit 40% of all the crime? Because not every crime merits, like what if that crime is just selling marijuana? Should they just be like life in prison every time like for any crime? And they tried things like 3 strikes and you're out, and that was terrible. We have too many people in prison. Maybe we need to be thinking about other ways that we can help reform people and give them a pathway other than crime to like exist. Right now, I have a guy that mows my lawn. He's a nice guy. He spent a few years in prison. And can't remember what it was for. It was nonviolent. But he spent a few years there. And he works hard, he struggles. He mows lawns for a living. And like he does all kinds of, hustle work and stuff like that, but because he's got this felony on his record, makes him hard to find a good job. He's a Christian now, and he does He tries really hard. He's an, so maybe we need to look at how we our entire system from like what is considered a crime, what is considered something that you need to go to prison for, what is something that how do we do prison, and how do we treat people after they get out of it. Like, instead of just defending this system that is clearly not working and using statistics that prove it doesn't work as a reason to perpetuate it. Maybe we should be flexible and think maybe there's a better way and try to imagine what that is. I do think we need something to, so that people aren't living a life of crime. But some crimes shouldn't be crimes. Shouldn't be a crime to smoke pot. So there shouldn't be a crime to sell pot. But how many people are in prison just because they either sell or smoked pot? Well, they're not in there just for smoking. They were dealing. But if it's legal, then they're not in there for dealing. That's per capita, right? That's prison population. I don't know if I don't know about per. U.S. is no longer number one per capita. Its incarceration rate has fallen substantially from its peak, about 755 per 100,000 in 2008 to 542 today. Countries, including El Salvador, now have higher rates. The U.S. is currently around fifth highest, depending on the data set. Well, at least we're not as bad as El Salvador, who's literally trying to establish itself as send your prisoners here. We have inhumane prisons. That's where Abrego Garcia got sent. To be frank, to be fair, I wouldn't trust China's domestic. Yes, and that's true too. The China, may not be entirely forthcoming. But if we're sitting there comparing ourselves to countries like China and El Salvador, maybe there's an issue, right? These are not countries known for their humane treatment of people. X is only going to be here for one day in September. Oh, she is only going to be here for one day in September, and then he's leaving. I don't think he wants to hear poop from Trump. I'm surprised they don't get mad at she for his pronouns. Is it she or is it he? Which is it? Come on. The U.S. police are like Army rather than a police force. I mean, compare UK police and US police. It's nuts. It will forever be a continuous cycle as long as we never focus on rehabilitation than punishment. We know why their prison system is designed in such a manner. It's to enslave people. Hey, Kitty. I was just talking about your favorite topic a few minutes ago. Somebody was asking if they if I think that the Epstein files will ever be fully released. So what do you think? Or will it be until after Trump? Do they commit 40% of the crimes or commit 40% of the crimes when they come out? Anyways, because prisons let them do slave labor instead of working on rehabilitation. And this is, I really wish, there are some things that get sold as being like these extremist far out views, like the 14th Amendment was just a way to legislate slavery or to keep slavery in the Constitution. There's actually something there. There is really something to that. From the beginning, they would they would pass laws that freed slaves couldn't leave, and then freed slaves couldn't work. Like, you couldn't hire free slaves, they couldn't leave, and then they had loitering laws, like where if you weren't working, then you could be convicted of loitering, and then you could be imprisoned and forced to work. So they couldn't work, they couldn't leave, and they couldn't loiter. And so then they'd arrest these slaves, or these former slaves, and they would just basically re-enslave them through the prison system. It was a workaround. That's not an extreme, far out, Looney Tunes kind of historical revisionism. That actually happened. So yeah, and that's still very much the case in a lot of ways. Why do you think that they have private companies that bid for this labor? What about forcing people to go and fight fires and stuff like that? So yeah, it is effectively slave labor. Sorry, Walter, to disagree with you there, but it is effectively slave labor. When you're sitting there locking up people in prison for nonviolent offenses and then forcing them to work for free or basically free, I mean, that's slave labor. I mean, that's just exactly what it is. What's the distinction? Everything Donald Trump campaigned on is how he is saying he is now saying is a Democrat hoax. The guy is a fraud. All right. So, all right. Have a good stream. Actually, I kind of need to go have a good stream. I'm sorry. Can you give me, I need a couple of minute break. If you can just hold on, I will be right back. Here, for those who have never heard it, I'll play my little song while I'm gone.
Since the noise, yeah, the mess we make. Machine Blunt, Kelly, get caught in the play. Facts and logic with a twist of chest. Strip it down to truth, yeah, forget the rest. Humor blows the lies right out of the park. Look beyond the shadows that set the dark. Sparks of laughter fire up the night, bringing clarity when they blur the fight. Cut through the chaos, yeah, the tangled lies. Fun Kelly with a set of clear eyes. Truths and jokes gonna rock this show. Step into light where the real facts glow. Step into light. Facts glow.
All right. Thank you for waiting. Sorry for the unexpected pause, but when you're a one-man show, sometimes nature happens. The artificial sun in China is the leading nuclear fusion reactor in the world, setting records constantly. I'm going to have to look into that. That's really fascinating. I know that a lot of stuff with when it comes to clean energy and whatnot, China is like way, way, way ahead of us. Like China is destroying us when it comes to clean energy because they're not led by an idiot who thinks it's fake. I can tell the ones who use speech to text their hi to kitty is lagging 5 minutes. Thank God I'm a gun redneck. I don't know. The gun god. Wow. Anyone covering the primaries today? I'm sure there's somebody. It's much too easy for many to become repeat offenders when the correct structures aren't in place for a straight path to serving time. I'm obviously not talking about the violent offenders. And I think, I just think we need to have more conversations about this kind of stuff and just instead of just regurgitating something that's clearly not working. It's not working. It's just doing the same thing over and over again, thinking, oh, this time it'll work. Ever heard the joke from Sam Kinison? Sand joke? No, I have not. I will give you the specific name. George H.W. Bush did business with my grandfather and great grandfather, and J.P. Morgan and my grandfather or great grandfather. Oh, that I totally believe you. H.W. was connected. People waste food. Yeah. What does that have to do with anything? Let's say everyone pushed the codes in all at once. I don't know why y'all voted for Trump. I didn't. He was the dumbest guy in the University of Penn. He bankrupted his business, his daddy's business. Yeah. So this is how I have told you powerful men and families with old money use other people to do their bidding for them. So U.S., third largest China, fourth largest Brazil. Okay. Wait, U.S. is bigger than China? No, it's not. Anyway, maybe I got it. Maybe I misremembered. This is from. Oh my goodness, how old am I? This is from 10th grade. So 1983. So yeah, I'm like remembering from 43 years ago. You look like you have a good credit score. I had one. Thank you. Got a stupid daddy. I was absolutely ashamed of those facts and left this kind of life and became a priest. Yes, I do remember you telling me that. White collar criminals need to stop getting. And you know what? I think we need to maybe make things a little less convenient for white collar criminals. Like, I have more sympathy for a guy that was trying to, like just survive, and so he was selling marijuana, than I do for the guy that scammed 5,000 families out of their life savings. Why is one nonviolent crime? Why are they in a like in a maximum security prison, and the other one's petting dogs along with Justine Maxwell? When you said so much of what Hitler does, I mean what Trump does. There is so many similarities, and I don't think they're all coincidence. His first wife said she only saw him read one book, and he kept it on his nightstand. And it wasn't Mein Kampf, it was a book of Hitler's speeches. The man actually studied Hitler. So when he's sitting there going, like quoting things or, paraphrasing Trump line or Hitler lines like, the blood of immigrants is poisoning the country. When he says stuff like that, he knows Hitler said those things. He's not just accidentally doing that. If I steal from Walmart, I go to prison. If Walmart steals from us, they might get a fine. Or they might get paid by the government. Like the tariff refunds, like some of these companies, like Walmart, some of these larger companies, they never even had to pay tariffs, but they're taking the refunds and they're not passing them on to consumers. I know many violent offenders, they didn't reoffend. That's actually interesting too. I wonder, like the reoffend, The people who reoffend, are they the violent criminals or the non-violent ones? Lock up politicians. I kind of like the idea of having shot collars attached to politicians. And like you could like mix the polygraph technology along with shot collars. And every time you lie, you just shock yourself. I mean, can you imagine Donald Trump's press conferences? He'd just be like, or either that, or he would just sit there and just talk because he doesn't even have any conscience about when he's lying. But anyway, it's a thought. I mixed on El Salvador. I know some families that lost loved ones to the gangs down there. The gangs are still 1,000 more times worse than the El Salvador government. Yeah, well, I mean, it doesn't have to be a choice between one or the other, right? We shouldn't be sending we shouldn't be sending people who haven't even been tried for a crime or even charged with a crime to die in prison there. Maybe we shouldn't have sold out to Chinese communists, making them. I don't know what you mean. How did we sell out to Chinese communists? All right. So I'm going to skip over the comments to this point because I wanted to talk about something today. I keep seeing this this talking point going around. Oh, whoops, I keep seeing this talking point going around about data centers and how golf courses use more water than data centers. I saw Jesse Waters was talking about it last night on Fox News. And I just want to point out some things about why this is a ridiculous narrative. There are several reasons that this is not a good talking point. Number one, golf courses are not data centers. I know that is a complicated thing, but they're not the same thing. And let's just look at some of the differences. A lot of golf courses have natural bodies of water. Not all of them, but a lot of golf courses have natural bodies of water just around them. Some of them, there's even, like they're traps and stuff. They're part of the golf course. They're literally built where they are at because there's a natural body of water there. Some of them, they have other means. Some of them, they're man-made. But there's a big difference there, right? Like if you build a golf course next to Lake Michigan, there's not a water shortage there. A lot of these data centers are being built in water scarce areas. So, you can't compare how much water a golf course next to Lake Michigan uses with a golf course or with a data center built in El Paso, Texas, where it's already they're already water scarce. That's one of the problems with it, is they just treat water usage as a metric that means something. But it's not just about how much water they use, it's where are they? You're not going to find all kinds of golf courses around where people are worried about some of these data centers being built. The second thing is, not all water is the same, right? The water that that can supply a golf course, a lot of it can be groundwater. Some of it is potable water, like the municipal drinking water. Some of it is lake water, or like the water that's just naturally available. And some of it is wastewater, like like you flush your toilet and the water goes down the drain, and then that water can be recycled and then used to water the golf course. You don't have to, like make it so that you can drink it. A lot of the water that gets used for data centers is potable water. Not all of it. Again, there's all kinds of nuance involved here, and so you can't just compare one to the other. But it's not just about how much water is being used or the location of where the thing is. It's also what kind of water is being used, right? People aren't worried about wastewater. They're worried about drinking water. The third thing is how much water is being used right now is not about the same thing as how much water is going to be used 3 years from now. There is this boom of data centers going up. If you were talking about building 500 by within the next 3 years, the amount of water being used by data centers is supposed to go up 500%. 500% in the state of Texas. All right. Now, if you were to like suddenly talk about quintupling the number of golf courses, nationwide, people would like be screeching about the water that all the golf courses are using too. And some places, they actually are concerned about the golf courses using too much water because there's already a water shortage. And number 4, it's not just about the water. It's about the electricity. Right now, if Texas had its way, and Greg Abbott had his way, then the amount of electricity that data centers in Texas use by 2030 would be more than double the amount of electricity that the entire state of Texas already uses, potentially. Like this is the data centers that have already applied. That's how much more, according to ERCOT. We're not talking about some liberal media or something, but according to ERCOT, that's how much electricity these data centers magnets want to, use. And this is, like in Texas, we're not that far off from having energy spikes so bad that it shut down the entire state and Ted Cruz fled. And, in fairness, Texas also has added a lot of new energy since then, especially renewable energy. Like I was saying before, we have more renewable energy than any state in the country. But what good does that do if we're increasing the amount of electricity we use 500%? We're just going to be back where we started. So, and even behind. Then the other thing that people don't talk about is it's not just the cooling of the data center you have to worry about. As you jack up all that electricity, then you have to also cool off the power plants. And so that becomes a secondary drain on water. That water gets used to cool the data center, plus water needs to be used to cool the power plant. And in both cases, like 70 per 8, like water usage and water consumption are not the same thing. Like if you water a golf course, some of that water goes into the ground, right? And drains back into groundwater or drains back into the ocean. So 70 to 80% of the water that's used by data centers evaporates. It's not recyclable. It doesn't. You can't. It's not just used. It's consumed. Then the last thing is, it doesn't rain in data centers. It rains on golf courses. So the amount of water that's used by a golf course can vary based on whether or not it's raining. When it rains, you don't need to water the golf course. So, like, I get so annoyed with these stupid talking points. I was like, today I'd like just looking around on the internet. There's like 10 different people that are, going on and on and on about golf courses. Well, golf courses use, I so like, oh, you got me there. And so, and then finally, you're not talking about golf courses or data centers. It's not like oh, okay, golf courses use all these water, therefore it's okay to use all this water on data centers. It's golf courses plus data centers, not golf courses or data centers. There's still a finite amount of water, and in these water scarce areas, you're making it even more finite. And when you're talking about Texas, you're not talking about whether the water is going towards golf courses or data centers. It's going to cattle farms or data centers. And so then you're talking about people losing their businesses, people losing their farms. So of course they're upset about it. And the other thing is golf courses don't cause noise pollution. These data centers are loud. So imagine you have a house and then all of a sudden this data center opens up a mile away and all of a sudden just this humming is loud humming is going on all of the time. What does that do to your property value? What does that do to your, like you can't sleep and you can't sell your house because nobody wants to buy it because nobody wants to live there. So it just like this, you bought this house, there was no data center. It was a nice house. And now it's worthless. And your whole life is just, you've got this financial, like this mortgage you have to pay for. So, anyway, next time somebody wants to bring up this false equivalence, you know what to tell them. Golf is awesome. I don't have anything against golf. We all breathe dinosaur farts. I have seen a YouTube short last night showing data center videos from various people. The sound, you watch some of these interviews. You can't even like they have to like shout to be heard in an interview. Geothermal hot water powers and cools down data centers. Yeah. And what I mean, like this is like, again, this is a both and situation, right? So that is power that could be used elsewhere and water that could be used elsewhere for other things. It's still, you're still talking about opportunity cost, right? Like that power and water is, because it's powering this data center, is not powering something else. And it's not like everywhere has geothermal hot water powered. Also, we can get a wrong answer from Google Gemini. Every time you ask it a question, just dump 2 bottles of water on the ground. That's what's happening. I think that, I think to be fair, that's not entirely accurate either. But, and what what you do with AI, like if you like a 4-second video, uses as much power, like like a 4-second like deep fake video type of thing, to generate one of the 4-second video. It generates as much power as if you were to run your microwave on high for a full hour. Chris has completely drunk Kool-Aid. We Democrats wish that we could get alternative energies to be used by this country, but Trump has shut down all such plans, even those approved by Congress. Yeah, because Biden did it. Anything Biden did must be bad. I'm certain that Carol, maybe we should start calling Carolyn Leave It, because that's what she did to her job the moment that she found out Donald Trump doesn't care which airplane she's on. You should call her Caroline Leave It. When she realized Caroline Leave It left it when she realized Trump had put her life in danger on the decoy plane. Agreed. I love the whole 2 week notice thing. Who is supposed to replace her, by the way? Oh, I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe Natalie. But she won't admit it publicly. She'll still state that she stands behind him to keep the door open. And not just to keep the door open, but to keep the door open to other business opportunities, right? Like she's got, all kinds of opportunities, selling her soul somewhere else for billions of dollars or millions of dollars. Nikki, that's what I thought too. Will the next one falsely wear a cross around her neck? And did you? I'm not kidding you. I was joking one time that you never see. I just noticed one time I was looking at a picture of Katie of Levitt and Stephen Miller standing next to each other, and she didn't have her cross around her neck. And so I was joking that she won't wear the cross around Stephen Miller because he's allergic to it, and like a little vampire joke. And at first I was thinking it was a joke, and then I started Googling images of Levitt and Miller, and I was like looking through pictures, and I couldn't find one where she had the cross around her neck when she was standing next to Stephen Miller. So, I'm not saying he's a vampire. I'm just saying there's no evidence he's not a vampire. He's a daywalker, but apparently he doesn't like to be around the cross. Trump supporters are proud to say they can't support him, are proud to say they support him, but can never say why. They don't even try to say why anymore. Or they'll just say, well, deportations. And so those have been good. Those have been working out swell. Yeah, the economy's going just swimmingly right now. You know how I've been saying stagflation, been warning about stagflation. There's an article in the New York Times today. Stagflation, the scourge of the 1970s, is back. He's been terrible for the economy. And we're not even hitting the worst of it yet. Right now, we're just starting to hit the impact of the ACA cuts on insurance premiums. We're starting that whole death spiral thing. Then next year, the Medicaid cuts go into effect. The austerity cuts go into effect next year after the election. Notice how they waited until after the election for that to happen, so that they can still get all the white trailer park people voting for Trump. Oh, the Democrats tried to scare you off. See, you haven't lost your Medicaid yet. If they try to just start spouting talking points, they all easily debunk lies. They live in delusion. And then if you point out their lies, then they're like, oh, that's just what CNN told you. You believe CNN? I bet you think that Joe Biden got 81 million votes too. As long as the billionaires keep putting money in Trump's legal Bitcoin account, he will continue to bend all government policies in their favor. Thank you for the coins, or the jewels, Nikki. They're like programmed robots. They all follow the same script of nonsense. They just single detailed AI text response can consume anywhere from 10 to 50 millimeters of water, depending on the model's size and the data center's location. Oh, milliliters. How much is a milliliter? I'm gonna find out. I mean, obviously, it's like, it's about like 0.03. It's about a teaspoon to a tablespoon. So not that much. Not that much water. Not 2 bottles. Here in Arizona, all the Trumpers have gone into the closet. um, some of them never came out, if you know what I mean. We have to prepare for Trump's plans to cheat in the midterms. He's going to do something really crazy. I just, he's not going to accept it if the Republicans lose. Stephen Miller is Nosferatu. He is actually, I don't think he's an actual vampire. I think he is a spontaneously generated vampire shard. Like a vampire sharded, that shard spontaneously generated, and that is how that's Stephen Miller's origin story. Actually, Miller would brag that he is Strigoi. Strigoi? Is it Strigoi? As a healthcare professional, I assure you that Stephen Miller is addicted to opiates. He's so... like, he's in love with his own propaganda. It's like he will just spout nonsense, and he never actually states facts. He'll just sit there and he'll just ride this wave of his own hatred, spewing nonsense about how Democrats hate America and they hate love, and they hate Christianity, and they just hate freedom, and like just all of this stuff. But he'll never give a specific about anything. No, like that's the... how many times? I mean, how many times have I asked Republicans, or not even Republicans, but Trump supporters? They'll come on, you're lying, and I'll say, what? Give me a specific. They never. I've never once had a MAGA offer a specific. As many times as I've wanted to, as many times as I've asked, they can never offer anything specific as a talking point. It's always just this general, vague, obdurate insistence on doubling down on stupidity. He's been fighting the cheese. What do you mean he's been fighting the cheating? What cheating? Be specific, Mark. Be specific. What cheating? Please tell me what cheating you're talking about that he's been fighting. Because all I hear about is just yelling and yelling and yelling. But you haven't won any court cases on it. If Dems get any power back in November, we have to immediately do something about drastic about the education system. Like maybe putting civics back in. I think we should cancel the elections in 2028 to ensure the communists don't win. See, this is the confidence of somebody that knows they're going to lose, because you've been screwing up the country. This is just exactly this. This is fascism. This is fascism. What you're talking about is fascism. You want to take away elections, and then you're just blaming the communists. Remember the poem? It starts, first they came for the communists. Doesn't start first they came for the Jews. It says first they came for the communists. And this is the thing. Just start yelling communism, communism, communism. You're like Chicken Little. What as in, Pete Hegseth is going to announce, why not just go all the way and just go for the stupidest possible stupid? What name? Like it's just, and if you want to be for JD or Marco, fine, but it's a coward's way out to sit there and talk about, oh, the elections are being stolen and whatever. Tell me what position you think is so great that JD or Marco has. Sell me on them. Tell me why. So actually, Brett's asking Kathleen or Kent over there why. Why should we cancel? MAGA are told what to think and only to obey. and they don't question it. They follow their marching orders. And they always talk about like the Democrats are the real fascists and stuff like that. We don't have, I mean, we can't be fascists because we don't have like the one of the big things about fascism is you need this authoritarian leader that you band behind. We can't even agree on who we like. Like just the fact that there's no leader means we can't be fascists. Beep beep bop bop beep 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 bop. JD and Rubio are like Trump's left and right testicles. You notice how you haven't heard anything from either one of them lately, other than JD. JD's kind of like fallen out of favor because he didn't want to do the Iran war. Marco Rubio hasn't. You haven't heard anything from him since he got put on the decoy plane. Maybe he doesn't like, that he was on the decoy plane. We talk about Caroline Leavitt being on the decoy plane. But what about Marco Rubio? I wonder how he feels about it. Donald Trump does not care about anybody but himself. And Natalie, because Natalie cares about Trump, and Natalie gives him the little printouts so that he can sit there and admire himself on the way to wherever they're going. MAGA isn't allowed to question anything that may jeopardize their leader. Typical cult. I've been noticing a lot of uptick in the use of communists and socialists, and even stupidity as far as the word democracy goes, because it has the same letters as, yes, we're a republic, not a democracy. That's like saying we're a spaghetti, not a pasta. I mean, spaghetti is a type of pasta. A republic is a type of democracy. It's not that I have a problem with saying we're a republic, because then you call them on it and they like sit there and they say, look, it says right there in the Constitution, we're a republic, and the word democracy doesn't appear in I'm not saying that the Constitution says we're a democracy. I'm saying the Constitution says we're a republic, and the republic is a form of democracy. The Constitution spells out exactly how we run our democracy. It's a democracy. If you vote, it's a democracy. The biggest fear of MAGA is to realize that everything they believe has been a lie. And I'm sorry, going back, they have to, well, a true democracy or a pure democracy, you vote on all the policies. And it's like, absolutely nobody thinks that. Absolutely nobody is trying to say that when they say we're a democracy. Nobody's under this delusion that we go together once a week and vote on every single policy. Everybody knows we're a representative democracy, but that's what a republic is. That's what a democratic republic is you vote for representatives that go and represent you. And you cannot beat this sense into them. They just sit there and insist and insist and insist that we can't be a democracy. The biggest fear of MAGA is to realize everything they believe has been a lie. And it's like, as soon as they are convinced that anything they believe is not true, then they have to start questioning whether everything they believe is not true. Which, that's just a matter of time to get from point A to point B. Some of the most anti-MAGA people I know are the people that used to be MAGAs, that started off as MAGAs, and then they had one question, and then the whole thing came down. I think even Brett started off as a Trump supporter. And now, you see Brett is a far, far cry from a Trump supporter now. Do I remember that right, Brett? You said you were a Trump supporter at one time. Imagine not knowing what the word democracy even means, and then just insisting on it. You can't even take the dictionary's word for it. Here, like this is the The definition of a democracy is a system of government where power belongs to the people. Uh, Citizens take part in running their country. They do this by voting in elections to choose leaders or by voting directly on laws. There's direct democracy. People vote directly on laws and rules instead of using leaders. There's a representative democracy. People choose leaders to make laws and decisions for them. Most large countries use this. We are a representative democracy. That's what a republic is. Imagine being so dumb that you can be convinced socialism is communism because they both end in ism. And meanwhile, you're sitting there, Trump is talking about like taking 10% of Intel and 10% of this company and, telling gas companies how much they can charge for gas and telling companies whether or not they can pass on the tariffs. Would the real communists please stand up, Mr. Trump? JD is one couch incident away from being replaced by Pete Kegsbreath as VP. If JD, what are you doing to my couch? I swear she consented. If the House flips, the protective seal on the Epstein files will largely disintegrate. It provided the Department of Justice gives them because apparently the separation of powers doesn't exist anymore, or the balance of powers. Just as they had Project 2025 in the wings ready to destroy the democracy, we need to have Project 2026 ready to install democracy. And I remember so many Republicans, you'd sit there and you'd bring up Project 2025 and they'd, that thing, that's nothing. Donald Trump already denounced that. He said he doesn't know anything about it. He has done everything he can to implement it. The guy that wrote it, the guy that was responsible for it, was the guy that installed J.D. Vance as vice president. And now it's like, basically been implemented. Live from Australia. USA is not a real country. It was built on a group of corporations and oligarchs. It's a constitutional republic. Yes, it's a constitutional republic. A republic is a representative democracy. Nobody's arguing it's not a constitutional republic. The part that we have a problem with is it's not a democracy part. The form of democracy we are is a constitutional republic. So yeah, Brett used to be MAGA. The fiercest, some of the fiercest anti-MAGAs are the used to be MAGAs. Democratic Republic, they are morons. Till I actually listen to the edit. Yeah, I think that's one of the breakthroughs. One of the things I want to do is start selling T-shirts that just have like Trump speeches on them, like these wrong, rambling, incoherent, nonsensical things he says, and then just like Donald Trump. I'm sorry that happened to you, Brett. Good line. This sounds like fear. If your position was adding, you wouldn't need to do this. What sounds like fear? What do you mean if your position? I don't know what you mean, Brett. I have no idea what you're talking about. With three branches of government instilling checks and balances, it's not a democracy. I don't even know what that means. I don't even know what that means. Do you vote for your representative? Do you vote for your senator? Do you vote for the president? Like that, what does that even mean? Do you on election day? Why do we call it election day? And what do you do on election day? They deny every true source as fake news, as they have been programmed to believe. I am no longer a Trump supporter, but don't support left or right. But do you? I mean, I don't know what that means either. I'm making up for lost time. At least I'm not doubling down with cognitive dissonance. No, I'm not wrong, David. I'm not. Do you vote on election day? Yes or no? Well, maybe you don't. But yes, we are a democracy. Words mean things. According to the meaning of the word, we are a democracy. You don't state anything, so your message lost. Trump is textbook fascist, not commie. Well, there's he is a fascist, but let's not pretend he's not sitting there saying that he wants to control intel and 10%. Communist is somebody that a communist assumes that is where the state controls the means of production and distribution. So when the government starts taking over 10% of a company, is that a fascist thing to do, or is that a communist thing to do? There is a little bit of overlap where the government allows the private companies to remain private, but tells them what to do. So in that sense, you can say it's still fascist. But the only ones talking about taking over the means of production are the Republicans and Trump. They are all bleeping stupid. All maggots are bleeping stupid. Trump is a cosplay fascist with actual power. David is the exact example of why we have to fix the educational system before we can fix voters who fall for the carefully crafted misinformation on social media. Like, they'll never respond to the actual fact that democracies, you vote. Like they'll just, we're a republic, and yes, nobody's denying we're a republic. I still can't past him dodging the draft 5 times with the bone spur excuse, but then make AI photos of himself wearing a 4-star general in uniform and not just standing with General George Washington, rescuing General George Washington from falling off a cliff in front of Mount Rushmore without Abraham Lincoln on it. George Washington wasn't the brightest founder, but he would have thought of Trump as an idiot. Their level of willful ignorance is infuriating. MAGA is literally all the dumb people you saw sitting in the back of class when you were young. Eating the flies. All the crazy photos, him as a general pope, show he knows his audience. Idiots who believe everything they see on TV or social media. I actually call this sycophantasy. Because they're sycophants on the one hand. They're absolute sycophants. Whatever he does must be right. They suck up to him. But on the other hand, they have to present him as this fantasy version of something that he's not. Like, even his physical appearance, they have to change, right? Instead of a fat, dopey-looking old man with hair with the worst comb over in the history of the world, they have to present him as being this, godlike demigod, with a 6-pack and all of that, and he's like wearing, it's just insane how they try to misrepresent him. And I think of the way they present him in the memes as the way they represent his policy. It's very similar. They have to just sit there and he's the greatest president of all time. How? He closed the border. Like, the border was never open. Factually, we had border patrol the whole time Biden was president. Trying to teach a MAGA anything is equivalent to trying to teach a fart not to stink. It's a waste of time. That's a good one. We don't have election day anymore. We got election month. Well, whatever. We still actually do have election day. But we still vote. Like, do you vote during the election season? Yes. We call it election day, but for some reason in blue states it's election month. Whatever. And it's not just I vote early in Texas, dude. And last I checked, Texas was not a blue state. Do you think that only blue states have early voting? Goodness gracious. Why does every MAGA argument have to be rooted in absolute nonsense and stupidity? Like, seriously, dude, if you don't want to take yourself seriously, how am I supposed to take you seriously? What a dumb comment. Please read a book. The dumbest I feel the dumbest. I feel very embarrassed that I used to laugh at Trump's comments. They just felt harmless at the times. But then when you find out the reason he says that is real, you cringe. Like what he said to that woman yesterday, to that woman reporter. And he seems to, like, people of color and women, he's worse at. And the absolute worst are, women who are people of color. I don't know what you mean when you say no, there's socialism. I don't know that does that mean you are ruled by the Constitution but not democracy? That's a false dichotomy. We're ruled by there's no laws in the Constitution. There's a way that the government is set up, and we're ruled by this democratic government that is and the form of that democracy is a constitutional republic. Then, in that constitutional republic, the Congress passes laws, the executive branch enforces laws, and the judicial branch reviews the laws. And that government is what rules us. I mean, that doesn't even, like, the whole thing doesn't make sense. If you ask what are you playing, and I say on my PC, and you say no, you're playing Mario Kart. Well, yes, I am playing it on my PC, so we're both right. It's like why I say, it's like saying this isn't spaghetti, it's pasta, or it's not pasta, it's spaghetti. Spaghetti is a type of pasta. Republic is a type of democracy. I still cringe at some of the memories of me laughing at his comments. We forgive you, Brett. Thanks for coming around. Trump is the best president ever. Yeah. So a constitutional republic is a form of democracy. I know that is shocking to you, but it's true. It is. It really is. It is a form of democracy. Willful ignorance is practiced by both sides. I'm not saying it's not. I don't know why everything has to be both sides. There are some people on both sides that are willfully ignorant. But the entirety of the MAGA movement is entrenched in willful ignorance. People say the exact same thing about Democrats. Yeah, the people that are like bathing in ignorance and stupidity. I know they do. That's part of their, other world that they live in. Here in reality, vaccines work. Here in reality, COVID was real. Here in reality, a democracy means that you vote. That you have this group that lives in this bubble of stupidity, and they think that we're the stupid ones doesn't make us the same thing. The people that live in reality live in reality. Reality is a real thing that actually exists. Simply denying reality and surrounding yourself with other people that deny the reality doesn't put the reality deniers and the reality acceptors on the same footing. It just makes you even more stupid. It's not about Republicans versus Democrats or MAGA versus liberals. It's about reality versus unreality. And these MAGA clowns can't accept reality. Joe Biden got 81 million votes. And I get every day I get these comments. Oh, I bet you think Joe Biden got 81 million votes. Yes, because he did. Like, there is a real universe that actually exists. In this universe, laws of physics apply, and climate change is real. You're believing. So Brett's going off on this guy. It's not the early voting that's sus, it's the late voting. No, there is no late voting. Again, why? What? This is one of those things where I talk about reality versus unreality. The reality is that a lot of those votes that you're calling late voting were cast before election day. Almost all of them were. They aren't late voting, they're late counting. And some states even have laws that prevent you from being able to count them as they come in. You can't start counting the mail-in votes until after the last of the polls are closed. If you allowed those votes to get counted as they came in, then you wouldn't have these issues with the delayed releases. It has nothing at all to do with when the votes were cast. There's no such thing as late voting. There is just late counting. And I know that even though I just very clearly laid out what the difference is, you will not acknowledge it. You will either A, just keep saying the same stupid thing, B, not say anything at all, or C, shift to a different topic, because that's the way the anti-reality MAGA movement works. You can't actually engage in honest conversation. That's part of the unreality. There are no votes that come in a month after the election. There aren't. There aren't. There just aren't. And trying to explain common sense to someone is just a way. Yeah, says the person who doesn't understand how the space-time continuum works. All right. The date on the envelope is stamped on the day that it was mailed. You cannot take a vote a month later, which isn't even a thing, and retroactively go back in time and cause it to be stamped and then say, oh, we forgot one. Don't sit there and talk about common sense when you're sitting there prattling nonsense. Good evening, Chris. How are you doing? Yeah, they always TJ Killer 69. Oh, see, I got like the Killer and 69 in there. I'm so clever and original. No, but you could understand it for yourself. See, this is what I mean. You just go into denial. You just go into denial. The votes are sent in before election day or on election day. The stamp is there. But you can't accept that, because that means that there are people that actually disagree with you in the universe, and they're not just made up or illegal aliens or something. You are incapable of having a rational thought, and every rational thought that exists outside of your universe is fake. And you think that everybody else is the one that's deluded. This is the problem with MAGA. You cannot have a rational conversation with an irrational person. You can't understand. Can you understand for yourself? I am actually a rather intelligent. My thing was Congress had to pass a law to keep from being sued from adverse reactions. Okay. This is just fake stuff. And I'm actually a rather intelligent individual. Okay. No intelligent individuals have to sit there and say, I'm a rather, like, not just, I'm a rather intelligent individual. Like just not I'm an intelligent individual. I'm a rather intelligent individual. Because if you put the word rather in there, it makes you sound more intelligent. Almost all of them, right? All of them. There is not any vote that comes in after election day that is ever counted. Or that was cast after election day that is ever counted. There are some states that have like a moratorium where, like, you know, the mail does not like work like email. That's why it's called snail mail, because it like takes longer. So it's like you don't drop an envelope into a mailbox and then it doesn't like magically transition to the polling place where it gets counted. Like it actually has to be picked up and delivered. But if you put it in a mailbox on election day, then you voted before on or before election day. You voted on time. A vote that's put in a mailbox is just as valid as a vote that's put in a ballot box. Oh, okay, good breath. The reality is the majority of American voters voted for what DJ2. No, actually, the reality is the majority of Americans didn't vote for that. A plurality of Americans voted for that. More than 50% of Americans voted against Trump. He won a plurality. I don't know if you know the difference between a plurality and a majority, but a majority means 50% plus one. He did not get the majority of the votes. He got like 49%. Well, knowing the USPS in my area, I'm afraid of mail-in voting. Well, not everybody that votes by mail does it locally, right? So, like, if a service member in Italy, where I used to be stationed in Italy, if I voted from Italy and I mailed my vote, it takes time to get there. So, are you saying that service people that vote on election day shouldn't have their votes count? The majority of Americans didn't vote. The silent majority, guess what? They were awake now. And the majority of Americans voted for Joe Biden. In 2020, more Americans voted for Joe Biden than ever voted for anybody that have ever voted for anyone in history in one election. He got the most votes of anyone in history in a single election. Did you band behind Joe Biden? Did you go, well, he got the most votes, therefore he's my president and I will support him? It's like so funny that you guys are like, well, Trump won, as though, but after you spent 4 years saying that Biden stole it. As long as the postmark, you're good to go. Trying to teach a MAGA is like talking to a tree stump. It's like, sometimes I just want to go out and bang my head into a wall until it like bleeds and I'm unconscious. But it's so much easier to just get the same effect with a 3-minute conversation with a MAGA. Silent majority is awake now. Where they been? Well, you're the ones that are always talking about you're the silent majority. And like MAGAs are like so funny because they're always like, well, the silent majority. You're not silent and you're not the majority. You never shut up and you've never been the majority. You didn't get half the votes. Sorry, I had to do it in 2 pieces. That's all right. That's YouTube's fault. That's why I just kick them usually. It's a waste of time trying to educate them. Not a genius by any means. I will agree with you there. But, you know, like, I'm not going to go into this whole thing about vaccines and, you know, and all of that because there's so much misrepresentation there. But, you know, using VAERS reports and stuff like that is just like, I don't even want to get into all of that. Vaccines have saved lives. Like, I don't know how much more simple I can get. Most people are just trying to live their lives. You're an extremely pretentious person. No, I'm just tired of obnoxious people. I'm not being pretentious. I'm just tired of just obdurate, unthinking, unlearning, willfully ignorant, stupid people sitting there acting like because they heard something on Fox News, that means every book I've ever read is irrelevant. I mean, it doesn't change the meaning of the word democracy. I'm not being pretentious because I know what democracy means. How do you fix stupid? I wish I knew, dude. I wish I knew. How you doing, Profect? I know a poop load of people that are definitely going to be voting this time, definitely, and not the way Trump would like. He's doing there. There are so many people and a lot of people that voted for Trump that are upset that they voted for Trump now. There are a lot of people that are that feel like betrayed by Trump. That thought that that they were so dumb they actually believed that other countries pay tariffs. That Donald Trump was going to be the one that made sure there were no new wars. That Donald Trump was going to bring down prices on day one. And he gets into office. I have never seen any president, and I mean this spectacularly, that went full throttle on doing the exact opposite of everything they ran on. He's jacked up prices. He's started wars. He's weaponized the Justice Department. He's stripped civil liberties like nobody else has. He's violated the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the Third Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the Sixth Amendment, not the Seventh Amendment. You can still, get a jury trial if you sue somebody for over $20. That one he's okay on. The Eighth Amendment, the Ninth Amendment, the 10th Amendment, the 11th Amendment, the 14th Amendment, and more. He didn't even stop there. He's got over 400 court cases that are just based on violating the Constitution. He's trying to strip voter rolls, or trying to invoke this thing where the executive branch can inject itself into the election process, which was deliberately blotted out of like they were deliberately left out of the Constitution on that. Because that's like saying that that you can ref your own games. He's sitting there and he's talking about election integrity. He like stripped the very department that ensures election integrity, and he's trying to destroy election integrity by taking. Why does he need my social security number? Why is he trying to figure out who people voted for and what their social security numbers are? Why can't states protect that? Okay. I do mail in. I receive my ballot weeks before election day. I fill it out and take it to the post office in the next day or two. I make sure that they postmark it. I get an email that it was received. And that's fine and fair. But let's say somebody wants to wait until election day, see if anything changes. Maybe they voted one time and something happened after they voted and before election day that would have changed their vote. What do they do? So they go, okay, from now on, I'm not voting until election day. And the laws allow them in their state, to submit their, their vote by mail up to election day. We're trying to have the conversation, but one side gets their feelers hurt. Yes, your side. You just don't know it. Your side is the side that gets your feelers hurt. Your side is the side that can't accept that Joe Biden won in 2020. Who won the election in 2020? You guys spent 4 years butthurt. And now you're sitting there, oh no, you one side can't get their feelers hurt. Yeah, your side you can't have the conversation. Your side can't acknowledge, okay, if a ballot is marked or is postmarked on election day, then they voted on or before election day. Your side is the side that gets your feelers hurt and can't accept that. But now you're all like, you see, you won't engage on the substance. You just sit there and you yell and repeat propaganda. I'm not hurt. I'm annoyed of the insistence on stupidity being given equal weight to actual facts and reality. I'm not hurt. I'm annoyed. Nobody's hurt here, but you're in this chat for a reason, so you're bothered by something. I try to find the common sense angle in all these things. Granted, in today's societal, common sense isn't common. And actually, I think like common sense is something, any sense that is common is not necessarily good. A lot of stuff that's common sense is stupid. I'm not sorry. It's like, sometimes common sense is actually ends up being right. But a lot of times common sense is just common for a reason. Republicans rarely win the presidency without the Electoral College hijacking the election. The last president who won the majority of the votes in their first term was George H.W. Bush. You have to go back to 1988 to where you didn't need the Electoral College for a president. A Republican president in their first term. Now, both Bush Jr. and Trump won the majority of the vote, or won the popular vote, not the majority. Bush won the majority, Trump won a plurality. But they're not getting a second term without the first term. Nobody's booted you yet because you haven't violated anything, but I guarantee you, if you act like a clown, you're going to get booted. Like, at least respond to the substance, dude. At least respond to the substance. Explain to me how a ballot gets postmarked on or before election day if it's sent after election day. Like, at least engage in the actual conversation instead of just sitting there saying something that is clearly just right-wing propaganda and running victory laps around your L. Like, explain it. Explain to me how the space-time continuum doesn't apply here. Should a service member serving their country overseas have their vote counted if it was sent a week and a half before election day and it arrives the day after election day? Do you want to disenfranchise that person because the U.S. mail took too long? I'm a registered independent. You're definitely not representing the silent majority. I don't know. I don't even know what the silent majority means anymore. But right now, the majority of people are, and have been all along, the majority has always been against Trump. Trump has never won the majority of the vote. That's completely wrong. The majority between Trump and Kamala voted. Okay, but it's not completely wrong because Trump did not win the majority of the vote. The people that didn't vote for either one of them also did not vote for Trump. That's what plurality means, dude. What did I say that's wrong? That's what a plurality is. He did not win the majority. Depends on what state you are in. Many states cannot be independent and vote in the primary, so I have to kind of call BS on that. In Texas, you can't even register as a party. There's no registering by Republican or Democrat. Both parties hold their primary on the same day, and you walk in and they say, do you want to vote for a Democrat or a Republican? And you can only fill out one primary ballot. You can fill out either one, doesn't matter. But you can only fill out one. The Build Back Better actually passed. Okay, Kamala lost, but so what? What is Kamala lost? Nobody's saying Kamala didn't lose. Dude, if you want me to, you can silence me by going to a different stream. Nobody is compelling you to be here, but your inability to respond to me with an actual articulated rebuttal kind of shows me that you can't. And that's why you're getting frustrated and saying I need to shut up. Because I am actually making sense. And that's causing you to, that's triggering you. You're like, oh, I don't know what to say. It was Biden's fault starting day one when he took office after Trump. And it's still apparently Biden's fault 18 months into Trump's second term. Weird, exactly. True, I can only vote in Democratic primary. Is that because you're a registered Democrat? You can always change which party you're registered for depending on which state you're in. Like if you're in a state where you register by party, you can always change the party you're registered in. But you can't register, you can't vote in those states, you can't vote in a primary unless you're registered as that party. So you independents can't vote for the Democratic primary. Trump just voted by mail in the Florida election. So it's, yeah. And this happens all the time. Like every single time he votes by mail and then goes on a big diatribe about how voting by mail is cheating. Dems should storm the Capitol since she lost. Gary is just dumb. I don't engage with dumb. Mags gives real conservatives a bad name. Yeah. I had Joe Walsh on the podcast, and he's an example of somebody that the only thing we both agree on is that Trump is a terrible president. He's a conservative's conservative. See TDS on, see what I mean? They cannot engage in a rational conversation. They have to just name call and insult and make up things like TDS. You can't engage in what did I say that's wrong? Do you know how to explain to me how the space-time continuum doesn't apply to votes received that were cast before election day? Why do it's just TDS on full display? Woo! Take a victory lap around your L. Jay Hart bursting out the good old TDS insult when faced with facts bad about Trump Daddy. It would be terrible if a bunch of retired Democrats went to the Capitol and aimlessly walked around for a couple of hours. I don't know what that means. Speaking of which, still no word from Mitch McConnell. You're a Trump dick smoker. Jay Hart intelligence is what's on full display here. Our republic would never recover. I still don't understand what that's all about. Gary Grandmas, I'm waiting to see what you have to say next. How did the Afghanistan? Okay. What does the Afghanistan withdrawal have to do with anything, Gary? And how the Afghanistan withdrawal went. I mean, let's just point out that the Afghanistan withdrawal was set up by Trump, and there was absolutely no way to do that in a way that was going to be pristine. There wasn't. There was some disagreement within the ranks, but that would have required staying there and actually reinforcing our troops there, which could have and probably would have ended up resulting in more troops dying. Like the people that talk about the Afghanistan withdrawal never seem to offer a counter a counter narrative where things went better. Like it's always just, oh well, this happened, and it's like, okay, Donald Trump is the one that let all the Taliban prisoners go. Donald Trump is the one that set up the withdrawal date. Donald Trump's the one that started releasing pulling most of our troops long before Joe Biden ever even won the election. The problem is you want to pretend like the withdrawal was an incident that happened in one day. You don't want to actually understand the issue. So tell me, Gary, what your solution would have been. How would you have done the withdrawal in a way where no American service members got shot or no servicemen got killed? Go on, tell me, explain it to me. I would say that the Afghanistan withdrawal, considering what the options were, that was the best possible scenario. And I've studied it. I've looked at it. I honestly cannot find any real representation, any honest way of ending it that would have gone better. DJT, who the popular? Yes, Trump won the popular vote in 2024. I'm not saying that he didn't. I'm saying he didn't get the majority of the popular vote. He got the plurality. Do you know what a plurality is? Plurality is where you get the most votes without getting a majority. A newspaper with today's date and a calendar. What? I missed something. I don't know the exact time frame, but isn't mail stamped within a 24 hours after pickup? No. It's stamped when it arrives. And especially when it comes to things like ballots and taxes, they stamp it right away. Why do you think that it's so like that postal stamps are okay when it comes to submitting your taxes, but not okay when it comes to, you know, voting ballots? I think that what happens is like they empty out the boxes probably, at a designated time, and then anyway, I'm not sure exactly how it works out on the ones where it's like right on the cusp, but how's no new ears going? Oh, no new wars. Although new ears is kind of funny, considering Trump apparently got one. Trump made the plans for the withdrawal. Do some research. You can't handle the conversation. Dude, you're the one that can't handle the conversation. You just keep saying stuff, but you're not engaging. What part of what conversation did I not handle? You can't handle the response. So you just plug your fingers in your ears and scream, no, you're not saying anything. Well, no, dude, you're not hearing anything. Omega here following the script. All remain stupid. It's called ballot. No, it's not called ballot harvesting. You're not having a conversation. You're having a time travel experience. There is something called ballot assistance, which is, like some people that, like for various reasons can't deliver their ballots. You can, in some states, not in every state, you can you can carry the ballots for them, but they have to like meet certain requirements and stuff. People aren't like all this made up stuff that the right wing has to come to excuse the fact that they lost an election. It's all made up. Someone needs to show the MAGA the door. Less I want to, but let's see where this goes for a minute. Have a great day. God bless America. Well, God can bless America by, well, I don't want to say it. Trump planned to withdraw. And how did Biden botch it, Gary? How did you see? You're just saying the same thing. You're just saying the same thing. How would you do it better? You're not actually answering the question, Gary. You're just blaming things. Bad things were going to happen no matter what. But I can see you don't want to engage in substance. And it's like you want to sit there and talk about there's more servicemen that died in Iran than died in Afghanistan under Biden. But you won't talk about that. It's like, but Afghanistan, what the hell are we talking about Afghanistan for? So what Brett says is right. I guess you're forgetting about what's going on right now. A revised bill was passed. Environmental and societal spending was cut significantly in the BBB. Ironically, it was because of Democrats. I have no idea what you're talking about. I just don't know what you mean by environmental and social. And I don't know what you mean. Ironically, it was because of Democrats. None of the Democrats voted for the bill. Something tells me that you don't have anything in common with God. For the record, you didn't try, though. For the record, you really didn't try. You did not respond. I responded to every single question you asked, and you did not respond to a single answer I gave. So don't say you tried. You didn't try. You just said things that weren't true. I corrected you, and you didn't learn. What point are we trying to make? I popped in here and hear you complaining about people not debating you on the facts. Well, dude, you don't just pop in and do a 5-second thing and expect that you're going to instantly absorb everything that's been said for the entire stream. It's been 2.5 hours now. Taliban did not take over $7 billion of U.S. weapons. This is one of the First of all, again, why are we talking about Afghanistan? Secondly, the weapons we gave to the Afghanistan government, long before Joe Biden was ever president. Remember, he was only president for 4 months. Third, you can't just take everything back on your way out. Like, you can barely transport the people. You don't have time to transport the weapons. Why didn't Donald Trump plan for all that stuff when he made the agreement? Like, anyway, and why are we talking about that? Why? Why are you talking about this, Gary? What relevance does it have to what Donald Trump is doing right now? Trump is here because no previous politicians passed laws preventing felons from, and actually, you know what? I honestly don't think that should be a law, because you could actually have a malicious prosecution. That, like if felons weren't allowed to run for president in South Africa, Nelson Mandela never would have been president. So this period of time reminds me of the 1876 election, which ended Reconstruction, in which there were accusations of voter fraud in southern states when Black American votes were being counted. Good point. Why does God bless America trigger you? Because it's your version of God and blessing America. And why should God care more about America than, say, Mexico? Why does Why does God have to bless America specifically and not like just like why should America get a special place? Why do you think that God should care more about America? Let's face it, you just wanted to do a grandiose mic drop and then leave, but you didn't leave. You wanted to stay and see. That's true. Why are you responding to that? It doesn't trigger me. It is actually triggering you. You don't understand. We see through you. Right. Well, at least you admit we're right for once. I didn't kick you for a reason. I wanted you to feel you're doing well. Please do contribute to Lurk. Just make sure you click the like button. Gary's turn. I guess I should have asked due to sorting time after mail pickups. Yeah, I don't know how that gets worked out, but I think that's a very, very tiny percentage of ballots, and I'm sure there's some way of working it out. Maybe station a bigger ground force. Yeah, but see, if you station a bigger ground force in Kabul, which some people say that's what it would have happened, then you had to bring back more. You have to like add troops against our agreement that we had already made of downsizing. If you do that, then you actually increase the threat of it escalating and becoming worse. So again, the question you're asking is, why didn't Donald Trump, when he made this agreement, why didn't he start working on bringing out the allies at that time? Joe Biden was only there for like 3 months before he had to pull out. Everything was already in motion. And why are you talking about Afghanistan? And am I in a time warp? Did they turn Kern on again? If they did, take me out of this MAGA timeline. I just wonder what the Afghanistan route, why leave billions of dollars behind? We didn't leave billions of dollars behind. There were weapons that we gave to the Afghan government that they already owned, right? We didn't give them to the Taliban. The Taliban hadn't taken over yet. We gave them to the Afghanistan government, number one. Number two, a lot of those weapons and stuff we like detonated on the way out. Like we made it so that they couldn't use them. And three, we couldn't just transport them out. If we had trouble getting the people out on time, how are we going to get tanks out on time? And why aren't you asking the question about why didn't Trump do it? Trump's the one that it's like 90% of the time that we had to prepare for a withdrawal happened under Trump. Then he didn't do anything at all. And then Joe Biden comes along. He's got like 3 months to take care of it. And you're like blaming everything on Biden. Why didn't Trump take care of it? The Afghanistan botched withdrawal is 100% 100% Donald Trump's fault. But nobody ever asked, why didn't he do anything? Why didn't he get those allies out of town? Why didn't he get the interpreters out? He's the one sending the interpreters back there. Yeah, I'm past 2 hours. You're right. I'm climbing up on 3. So thank you for the reminder. I mean, at this point, if you still can't figure out Trump, there's no helping you. Anyway, I do need to go. And I'm like way past my usual time. So I will talk to you tomorrow, and hope you have a good evening.